Well, Brian, next on the program in the Parade of Champions was the other match that I referred to momentarily. Lee Moriarty, the arch nemesis of Sherlock Holmes and his faithful companion, Dr. Watson, grappled with CM Punk. Brian, you want to do it with me?
Nope. I don't want you to do it, actually.
Look on my plate. What do you see? The cult of meat with extra cheese.
Oh
I want a burger, American cheese, pickles, onions, if you please, 'cause I'm the cult of meat with extra cheese. Like it good and greasy, fresh out the pan. I'm the cult of meat with extra cheese, the cult of meat with extra cheese, the cult of meat with extra cheese. Fried or broiled, the cow must die. The meat is done, the toppings fly. You won't have to ask me if I want some extra cheese. Now with tomato and bacon too. Not a drop of mustard there, you fool, 'cause I'm the cult of meat with extra cheese. On the bun, the mayo there, I'll eat it in my underwear.
Oh, come on.
Add a fried egg, that'll make it fine. You can tell that burger's mine. I need that burger handed to me, 'cause that's the one with meat and extra cheese. It's the one with meat and extra cheese.
I always wonder what you do with your spare time, and now I have a better idea. I think the best line is the cow must die.
The cow must die. Broiled or fried? All right, anyway, so what we had here... what we had here was a babyface match. And they even did a little fucking clip, a package, etc., to show that Lee Moriarty is just a babyface, just a nice guy. You don't want to see anything bad happen to him. So this isn't going to be as fun, I wrote at the top, as most Punk matches, because he's so brilliant when he has a heel. If he's working with an underneath guy and it's a heel, then he's got stooges at ringside or they can cheat or whatever. Before the match starts, MJF's music plays. He does come out and goes to the desk for color. And that was, again, he's effortless on color. He has a vocabulary, imagine that, and a great delivery. But the longer I watched the match, the string is broken. I have to be honest. They started with mat wrestling, the counters, the reversals, the arm drags. It was even, if not advantage, Moriarty, so that MJF can knock Punk. Well, look at him. He can't even, fucking handle Moriarty. How's he going to handle me, etc.? And that was fine, especially early in the match. And then Punk got a little more aggressive and took over clearly going into the break. But when they came back from the break, Moriarty's the one that had just hit a false finish. And then Punk missed a knee to the buckle, and he's getting the shit kicked out of him. And I had, at that point, I'm saying I'm not enjoying Moriarty getting this much offense. There's a difference in telling the story so that, MJF can mock him a little bit, and then Punk comes back and cleans things up when he gets the opening. This was, Moriarty gets a crossface on him, and Punk has to get a rope break. And Punk gives Moriarty a Frankensteiner off the top rope. Moriarty rolls through for a sunset flip. And finally, Punk hit a roundhouse kick and dropped Moriarty. And I thought, okay, boom, there it is. And now he's taken over. And MJF, even at that point, why has this lasted this long? And that was my comment as well. And then as soon as he knocked him out with a roundhouse kick, Moriarty had taken back over and got a 2 count. And then they went for something, and Punk reversed it, picked him up, hit the GTS boom 1, 2, 3. But it was, as Aunt Lola used to say, by the skin of his teeth. This is the first one I haven't liked. I think it's because it was a babyface match. And I think it's because it went on too long. You can tell the story that Punk is either a slow starter or he's still getting back in shape or whatever, or you can, because there's no animosity here, he's not really turning it on and trying to hurt this guy, and MJF can make fun of that. But and I'm not even indicting Lee Moriarty as a talent, but he has not been portrayed at anywhere near the level of his opponent here. And it was too close for too long. And I wonder, in trying to tell this story that MJF is telling, to whether Punk is in shape or whether he still got it or whatever the case, that they aren't giving people evidence, whether true or not, that Punk doesn't still have it anymore. What do you think?
Maybe that's part of the story, is what I think. Because there's no other excuse for it. It's been too often. It's been every match. He's not finishing anyone off. At the same time, Danielson's kicking people's heads in the earlier segment, or sometimes the segment after this. It has to be part of a story. And if that's the case, I guess we have to see where it goes, because right now, that part of it doesn't make too much sense while he's feuding with a MJF, or while he's having a series with, or a little program, wasn't a series, it was one match with Darby Allin, that he can't finish anyone quickly. He's not finishing anyone quickly. I got no problem with him having these competitive matches. I like the Daniel Garcia one, a few of the other ones. But I feel like with Lee Moriarty, here's a guy who we just never saw. He showed up on TV, at least I hadn't on TV. Showed up with showed up with Matt Sydal a few weeks ago. We haven't seen Matt Sydal since, and then all of a sudden he's here in this match. It was good. I thought MJF was really good on commentary, and I'm intrigued by the MJF Punk stuff, but on one hand, should have been quicker, probably. On the other hand, considering what else was on this show, I could see why they were drawing some of these things out.
But then don't make him wrestle a babyface where he just has to get out wrestled. Let him show vulnerability to a heel who cheats somewhat. It's a different context, and I understand it's a story. And I'm not even saying I'm hating the story. I'm saying they're doing a good enough job telling the story that people may end up buying that Punk doesn't have it anymore if they don't be careful. Because, again, when he has an excuse, the other guy cheated to get an advantage or whatever, he's got stooges at ringside or etc., rather than just being out-wrestled by an underneath guy, at least if he's going to be out-wrestled by somebody, let him be out-wrestled by Bobby Fish, whose gimmick is that he's a fucking fighter. Anyway, after that match, MJF started coming down the entrance aisle and cutting a promo on Punk and talking about him struggling to beat QT Marshall and Lee Moriarty. And what are the jokes about him going after Britt Baker? Is this something from YouTube or something on their auxiliary programming that I'm not?
I don't think so, only because I don't think Punk's really doing a lot of the bullshit stuff. I could be wrong. But I thought it was just alluding to Punk making comments in various promos on TV. You make a guy feel like Britt Baker. I think it was another Britt Baker line. So it was public and it was on TV. At least that's the way I took it.
Yeah, well, and there was another Britt Baker line because she was one of the four pillars instead of
that's
MKF.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But anyway, Punk responded, I love Larry David's pajamas MJF was wearing. And then basically, well, bring your needle dick in the ring. And they very closely had two segments in a row where the heel's saying the same thing, or basically the same thing, in that, well, no, we're not going to do it this week. We'll do it next week in my hometown. And MJF was building up the big homecoming, and that he'll probably be showered with accolades in a real place like Long Island. But then he went too far, Brian. He insulted Larry the dog. He threatened to put Larry the dog to sleep. And that was too much. And here comes Punk up the aisle.
That was the first time I ever heard of Larry the dog, so I didn't know what it was referring to.
Punk's Larry the dog. Larry the dog's been on Twitter and things over the years. And I loved, because I know how I would feel. I don't care about most people, but mess with my dog and you're fucked. So here comes Punk up the aisle, but Wardlow comes out to get in front of MJF. They don't argue anymore. Maybe somebody had told him, well, you're doing this too haphazardly, too start and stop, and also it's not the right time because there's something else going on. Maybe somebody said that. I don't know. But anyway, the referees were there to get in between. They didn't have any physicality. It was a good promo segment. I'm even more want to see the match between MJF and CM Punk, except, like I said, I wasn't a fan of the match. And maybe if their object is to get the fans worried about Punk's welfare at the hands of MJF, maybe this match helped that, but just a little much for me, dog.
Can't add too much to that. We said that we hope they didn't rush everything, and so far they aren't. This was, I think, week 3 or week 4 of their program. We'll see where it goes next week. But they're keeping them physically apart from each other for a while, and I think that's smart.
That is smart. It's always smart when you've got something valuable that you keep it, right?
I think I see where you're going, yes.
When you've got, so you smell what I'm cooking, when you have something that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, that brings you entertainment, you want to keep it, right? Well, that's nobody right. Ever looks in the mirror in the morning and goes, damn my hair, I hate my hair, I don't want my hair anymore. You never hear people saying that. You always see guys looking in the mirror and saying, boy, I wish I had my hair back, because they didn't keep it. That's their mistake. 2 out of 3 men will experience some form of hair loss by the time they're 35. Some of it will even be lost from the top of their head. And more than 50 million men in the U.S. suffer from male pattern baldness. These patterns can take a variety of shapes. They could be snow angels, they could be stars, they could be moons, whatever the case, but it's a pattern. You see the pattern here. Hair is falling out of your head, and you got to do something to keep it. That's why our friends at Keeps, the finest people that we know, offer a simple and stress-free way to keep your hair with convenient virtual doctor consultations and medications delivered straight to your door every 3 months. If you have hair on more than one head, it could even be more often. Low-cost treatments start at just $10 a month because Keeps offers the generic versions of the only FDA-approved medications that prevent hair loss. Discreet packaging, proven results. Those are 2 things. Folks, right now, if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com, KEEPS.com/JCE, and get your first month of treatment for free. They got more 5-star reviews than any of the competitors. They don't have competitors. The field is wide open. It's all theirs. They're the number one. Go to keeps.com/JCE. First month of treatment for free. Don't come at me next year all bald-headed, slick like an egg, and tell me that I didn't do anything to help you. If you can't take advantage of this, it's not my fault.